Welcome to Tiger Wolf. I'm Josh, and this is David.
Please be aware, this podcast contains strong language and spoilers. So, figure we could talk a little bit about, campaigns, because, for Dungeons and Dragons, you're finally getting to actively do one, continually. Are you enjoying it?
For the most part, since it's a pre-made, it feels, and we're not even out of the first night on it. We've had several sessions. There's just a lot going on. And I'm still learning how to. I can only speed up the combat so much.
Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons, where a 3-hour walk takes 5 minutes, but a 5-minute battle takes 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, man. 5-minute battle. That's like 40 turns. But so it's pre-made, so it feels very much like go do this, with not a whole lot of interaction.
Yeah.
Because it's an attack on a place at night, and all this is supposed to be happening that night.
Yeah, not over a course of days or weeks or months.
There's no room for standing around and talking too much. It's pretty much the leader is we need help with this. Can you help us? And they're like, yeah. And then they sit there and they figure out how they're going to do that.
Yeah. Comparing it to some of the other campaigns that we've both tried to write or been a part of,
it's a lot easier to execute.
Yeah, is it easier? What's the for you? What's the main takeaway? Do you feel like it's for someone who's starting out, never doing it before?
I would say the most. I can't say that. It's not true either. But the first time I ever DM'd, other than that campaign we kind of wrote up, which was way too linear and just we had the complete wrong approach to it, and that's probably mostly my fault because it was my core concept idea. Was We Be Goblins 2, which was really fun. Because I was just basically sitting there thinking of all the best ways you guys were fucking up.
Bloop.
This is the combat gets wearisome, honestly. When it takes 3, 4, 5 turns, I start to run out of care to make the things interesting. You know what I mean?
You hit, deal damage. All right, cool.
And I've kind of spiced that up a little bit. I got a little soundboard thing, so I have a little miss sound. So there's a tense pause as everybody's looking towards me to find out whether or not the enemy hit or miss, and then they hear either the hit sound, which is basically, and then the miss sound, which is just whoosh. So this is the tense moment, and then I could see the relief on their face when it's a miss or whatnot. It feels pretty good
in that moment of when it's a hit.
And I think because I got some ambient sounds made up for it, I think that those helped a lot with trying to help set the mood.
Yeah.
But honestly, before I got those sound things up, I had a blast doing they were saving some people from a place that was being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, that building was being attacked.
Yeah.
And it just, I was worried. I even mentioned it to my players. This is supposed to be a tense thing going in, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pull it off well, but I'm going to try.
Here we go.
Let's find out. And then afterwards, my players were like, that was super intense.
I don't like you.
Because the whole time they're trying to get people out of there, there's a battering ram hitting the door. I was using, because I have metal dice, so I would, every time I rolled to see how much damage it did to the door, I made sure I hit it loudly on my notebook so they heard the thud on the door. And then literally they had like a few people left to cram through the doorway of the main room when the door bursts open. And one of the intimidating leaders is leading the group into this place. And he's just walking slowly, methodically towards them, towards the one person that's left in that room. And she's starting to like freak out herself because she's trying to get the people at the door, but they're panicking, so they're not going out the door very easily. They're trying to shove each other instead of go through the door.
Yeah.
Because they need to be the one going next and stuff like that. Yeah, it was pretty intense. She actually got cut on her back as she was exiting the room. That's how like time compressed it was.
They were there
because she did not engage, so there was no initiative. So they got a free, attempt to attack on her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least it's seeming like you're enjoying it.
I just wish I could keep it tense like that.
It's been a while since I got to actively enjoy being in a campaign. The last one I ran that I enjoyed was actually a Pathfinder one called Rise of the Rune Lords. And I had a lot of fun with that one.
I believe that's a popular one.
It was the first actual set of campaign modules. But like I added, they did the initial combat thing. They saved the town from the invading goblins, and they were basically town heroes. So I decided to play with that a little bit. I had a group of kids dress up like them, and they're running around acting like them. Well, one of the kids actually had a really strong monster living in its attic. So I was kind of being mean to the players because I was going to, the kids were going to die. That was the plan. The kids were going to die, and then the parents were going to blame the heroes because they were trying to be heroes like them. But instead of actively rolling the D20 for the attacks and everything, I was like, we'll just roll 2 percentiles. Whichever one comes out higher is the one that wins. The kids won. So I had to tally up experience for no level NPCs.
Not everything has to be done by the dice, David.
Yeah, I know. But I was like, I'll leave it up to the dice because it'd be interesting if the kids had survived.
Well, yeah, but even then, even if they survived, they didn't have to necessarily win the fight in order to survive.
Yeah.
And like this is something I've been taking kind of seriously about my role as DMing, is that it's my role to, yes, facilitate the game rules and everything, but also to make it a good and enjoyable story for the players.
Yeah, that's
and in general a good narrative.
It's the reason I did the dice instead of just choosing, whether the kids lived or died.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the kids surviving, the parents of one of them goes to the inn the next morning to tell the heroes about what happened. And the heroes, my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful players, the one that was kind of the acting leader of their little ragtag group went, we'll train them. So in their downtime...
Level 2 heroes training kids?
In their downtime, they started teaching these kids how to be their respective classes. So one was learning to be a druid, one was learning to be a barbarian, one was learning to be a cleric, one was learning to be a rogue. So in their downtime between, their missions, they're teaching these kids. So it added more to the social aspect. They had people, not only the general public of the town looking up to them, but they had a direct pupil watching their every move.
Seriously increases their accountability.
Yeah. And then I tweaked one of the other points in the campaign where there are two characters who are supposed to get killed. There's regular nobody NPCs pretty much. I made those nobody NPCs the mother and father of one of the kids. And that happened to be the kid that the person who killed the parents, they are obsessed with the trainer of the kid. And it was an attempt to drag this character out to try to lure them in so that they could try to convince them to be with them because they were so obsessed and so in love. They had started killing people to try to figure out how to get this character's attention because nothing else had worked up to this point. And the Asmar rogue, she wasn't intentionally not realizing it. It was going completely over the character and the player's head. The 3 modules worth of time up to this point that this guy had been trying to get her attention.
Okay.
Like,
Wow.
I had a lot of fun with that. I recently got my hands on, I'm a fan of Magic the Gathering. I have been for probably a lot longer than I want to admit. But I got my hands on a copy of Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, which is a Dungeons and Dragons adaptation of one of the realms in Magic the Gathering. Reading through the book has sent me down a lot of random rabbit holes, a lot of small annoyances because I was hoping for stuff dealing with the planeswalkers and things like that. None of it mentioned in this book. Like, one of the characters is named in the book repeatedly, but there's no stat block for him. There's nothing, which, is a little annoying. But I find it weird that I understand why, from a business standpoint, that they chose Ravnica to be the book they put out, because also right now with the actual card game, they're in a new Ravnica block.
Which also means their book series is probably in Ravnica again.
They haven't been doing the actual books for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it bugs me because I really enjoyed reading the books. Like, I loved the Mirrodin set. And the original Ravnica set was really good too. But, there's a bunch of other worlds, a bunch of creatures that, you can play with dealing with magic. That, at the same time, there's a whole system that could have been in this book that isn't.
What do you mean?
So, let's say, we were joking about it earlier, kind of talking about it earlier, about planeswalkers. Certain events occur, your spark gets ignited, you gain the ability to be a planeswalker, to walk from one plane to another at will. How would you go about turning a player character into a planeswalker? Like, what kind of ordeal would you set up and expect them, or hope that they would survive or have the right outcome with their dice rolls plus whatever dice rolls you decide to put forth for them to have their spark ignited? And at that point, what happens?
I don't think that's exactly how that would work. I think it would be more like a prestige class. Like, their trials up until level 20 of their class, assuming that they stayed the same class the whole time, is what gets them the potential for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, maybe do a check or something after that, and maybe that's how they end up in Ravnica. I mean, I could spin that like 6 different ways and be like, well, yeah, you technically became a planeswalker and ended up in Ravnica, but as it was your first hop ever,
You didn't choose where to go.
You didn't choose
just
where to go.
went.
And
Because that's the story
You
for
are,
pretty much all
and your body
planeswalkers.
is completely altered, and you no longer have 20 levels.
Because, I mean, pretty much all of the planeswalkers in the story, the storyline of Magic the Gathering, their first jump is not intentional normally. And it's at random.
Because they don't know they're a planeswalker until it happens.
Yeah.
Well, wait, but that's what I'm saying is your body has now physically been altered, and you're back to level 1. As a planeswalker, not as the regular class.
Yeah. I mean, looking at like Jace,
And then
for
probably
example.
take their basic class and modify it to be a planeswalker version of it.
Yeah, that's like
And
looking
then
at
they start over from there.
looking at Jace. He was
I mean, so that's just one idea. Like I said,
he was a mage before he became a planeswalker. He became a drastically more powerful mage when he became a planeswalker.
like Urza.
Yeah, and Urza.
Pretty much all of them were usually mages
Yeah, there
beforehand.
was some form of mage beforehand, with the exception
it's
of
called
like
Magic the Gathering.
Garrick, the one you had, the Beast guy. He was a warrior.
Yeah.
There are some that were warriors before they became, a planeswalker, but eventually they all adapted and learned the ability to use some sort of magic. And in Magic the Gathering, the old lore was the way that they, or you as the player, you cast spells, you have to have met that creature on another plane, and then you literally rip it from its home and into battle for yourself. The rule in the old books was they had to be the entity that was summoning you had to have touched you at some point. And with humanoid creatures, the way they usually got that loophole was just a handshake.
Are they? And they're also forced to be on the mage's, side.
Yeah, it's really hard to rebel against the will of a mage or planeswalker. You can, but it is exceptionally difficult.
So the concept of the fact that I had a Leviathan in one of my decks is that
You went pretty.
I had a very unfortunate set of events happen when I was on the ocean somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I had a very unfortunate series of events on Dravania when I shook the slimy, wiggling tentacles of multiple slivers.
Or all of the worms and
The raging Kavus and
wrathy
the dragons. So yeah, that was the old lore involving that. You as the player of the card game was a planeswalker. You physically had to have met all of these creatures at some point and learned all of the spells, like the counter spells, the instances, the sorceries,
I learned them when I spent the $5 on the booster pack.
Yup. Best $5 I ever spent.
Nope.
But it just, like, there are so many worlds dealing with Ravnica. It's, you've got the D&D wheel of the material plane, the astral plane, the ethereal abyss, the elemental planes. If you broke that down for Magic, the central plane would be Germania, which is where the Kavus and all that stuff took place. And then you've got like Kamigawa, you've got Ravnica, you've got Mirrodin, you've got Old Phyrexia. Mirrodin eventually becomes New Phyrexia. You've got what's that other one? There's another one I can't remember the name of. And then there are some that are just unnamed in the storyline. Like a planeswalker jumped there, they did a thing, and then they left. And there is no.
Why are they all fighting each other though?
One of the planeswalkers.
It's just maging duels all over the place.
Yeah, pretty much. Usually
Wizard battles.
one planeswalker, most of the villainous ones, get corrupted, be it by a cursed artifact or bloodlust or just power.
Okay, but that doesn't really...
So they decide, well, I can jump from plane to plane, so why don't I start taking them over? Way back, I thought Urza was a villain initially. From like the text on some of the old, like Urza's mine, Urza's power plant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Urza was a villain. No, he was a hero. He was one of the good guys.
Theoretically.
Argumentatively.
I mean, he went around touching a bunch of beasts and then summoning them for his pleasure.
Wow, could you have made that sound any more? I mean, really?
I mean, realistically, like, he had to summon them for probably more reasons than just combat, right? He probably...
mounts and...
running his power plant.
I mean, yes, Urza did do a couple of sloppy things, like he's the reason one of the planes got destroyed.
That's not sloppy, David. That's destructive.
It's sloppy because if he had not gone there and disturbed something, it wouldn't have gotten the notice of other planeswalkers who then came to that plane, and in the attempt to take it over, that led to its destruction. That's what I mean by sloppy. It was when he was a much younger Urza.
Urza Light.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know, I really want to play again.
I'm looking forward to playing in something that lasts more than 2 sessions.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a character make it past level 2.
Longest running campaign I've been in was the one that Joe ran, which lasted... I was level 14, level 15.
Now people are on the verge. The level 2 just leveled up to 3.
Yay!
And the 2 level 3s are on the verge of...
going to 4.
Yeah.
Nice.
There'll probably be 4 before...
the end of the night.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Do you know where it says on the milestones where they should get to level 2?
The end of the first.
Yeah, the end of the night.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way, because of how much experience they've gotten with what they have done so far.
Don't use the experience style leveling up, but use the milestone leveling up, they would reach 2 at the end of that first night.
The first chapter.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is, I feel like halfway through would be more appropriate. How much more challenging do you think it would be for them to do some of these things if they weren't level 2?
A lot.
I mean, yeah, I've only got 3 players because finding a 4th was too difficult. But still.
Yeah.
Somehow they've survived this far. Probably because they're a level higher than they should be, because 2 of them were level 2 before we actually got into the campaign. Because the pre-campaign thing I did.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think what would be the most fun is, like, you're playing a pre-made one. I have a campaign setting that I have been reading through vigorously.
I welcome the opportunity to be a Minotaur Barbarian.
You don't want to be a Luxton Barbarian?
No, I want to be a Minotaur Barbarian.
No. You, I want to be a Minotaur.
Those were
I want to run and gore something.
No, it's not gore. It's not gore. But it's not gore. I read it because it was one of the 2 races I was going to be for something else.
Yeah, no, keep talking. I'm getting past the houses. I'm pretty sure it's after that.
And it was going to be either a Minotaur or a Triton Paladin. And I thought a Minotaur Paladin would be pretty exciting too. I will smash you in the name of my god. Who's your god? Nah, I don't care.
Murder. Goring Rush.
Is it? Oh, Goring Rush. Yeah. So it's not. I knew it wasn't gore.
immediately after you use a dash action on your turn and move at least 20 feet, you can make one melee attack with your horns as a bonus action.
Also, they can do something else after they make a melee attack.
Hammering horns.
I can bash people away from me.
And they're still considered medium.
Yeah, it's a Minotaur. They're not.
That's a beautiful Minotaur, though.
Yeah, I know, right? That's a really good picture. I want that axe.
That's almost
so bad.
Kaz.
Well, hold on.
Kaz had black fur. Well, black and brown.
But that axe, man.
Yeah.
Look at that axe.
He had an axe.
Look at that axe.
He had a very amazing axe.
Yeah, but it wasn't flaming.
No, it just would teleport to him.
Yeah, they stole that from Thor.
But yeah, I definitely think it would be interesting to run a campaign in Ravnica. Maybe one day.
I kind of want to keep playing Tyrann, but I don't think we'll keep going on that one. Which is unfortunate. I really liked him, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like making new characters too.
We can hope that, it becomes easier for us to be able to actively play at some point, maybe, hopefully.
I have almost every afternoon open.
Yeah, I work almost every afternoon.
That's not my fault.
With the exclusion of Wednesdays, sometimes. But I am nowhere near ready to run a campaign set in Ravnica, let alone the potentials for players to be like, one of them slips up and becomes a planeswalker. And then, now the goal of the rest of you is to find out what happened to your friend. Meanwhile, your friend is in a cave on Germania with a Kavu staring at her.
Okay, so go ahead and kill her. I'm looking forward to what may be coming up for gaming for me.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No. I think this was slightly productive, though. I at least enjoyed it.
I mean, okay.
Well, I suppose that's the end of the episode.
Please like, comment, follow, and share. And also, more importantly, thank you for listening.
Take care.
Bye.